Chosen one, listen closely. This moment is not ordinary. This encounter is not random. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you to deliver a word straight into your spirit. Your obedience has not gone unnoticed. You may think no one saw the sacrifice. No one felt the weight of what you gave up. No one understood the quiet battles you fought in the night. But I tell you with certainty, heaven has recorded every step, every tear, every silent yes. You are standing in a moment where eternity is responding to your obedience. You are not like the rest. You were never meant to blend in. God carved you out, set you apart, and placed a mark on you. That mark is obedience. It is not perfection. It is not applause from men. It is the secret posture of your heart that whispered, "Yes, Lord, even when it cost me." And now, the heavens declare that your obedience is opening generational blessings, doors that your parents and grandparents could not open, rivers that your children and your children's children will drink from. Do you understand, chosen one, that obedience is louder than talent, stronger than charisma, and more powerful than position? Heaven does not move for talent alone, it moves for obedience. The angels of God are not responding to how clever you are. They are responding to the fragrance of obedience rising from your life. That is why the enemy attacked you so hard. He wanted you to disobey, to rebel, to throw in the towel. But your yes has frustrated hell. Your obedience has silenced the accusations of darkness. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 1, verse 3, that person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season and whose leaf. Beloved, this is your portion. You are being planted deeper, rooted stronger, and flourishing beyond the reach of drought. Think of this when Noah obeyed. He saved his household. When Abraham obeyed, he fathered nations. When Esther obeyed, she saved her people. One act of obedience is never isolated. It echoes across generations. You, too, are standing in that lineage. You may think it was a small yes, akiet, surrender, but God sees it as a generational shift. Your children may not yet understand it, but they will live in the blessing of it. Your grandchildren may never know the battles you fought, but they will inherit the freedom you secured. Beloved chosen one, stop underestimating the power of your obedience. Stop thinking your small steps are overlooked. Heaven has a record, and earth will soon see the fruit. You are marked. You are sealed. You are written into the covenant of obedience. God is saying to you now, because you obeyed, I will bless your line. Because you said, yes. I will protect what carries your name. Because you stood firm, I will establish your house. And the enemy cannot stand against what is sealed in heaven. That's why you must not waver. Stay obedient. Stay surrendered. Stay in the flow of divine alignment. This is your moment to step into the river of blessings that cannot be stopped. And now, chosen one, I call you higher. I invite you into a prophetic act of faith. If this word has pierced your spirit, do not let it pass by. Like this message, share it so others may step into their own obedience. And subscribe, so you never miss the flow of heaven's voice. At this very moment, as a seal of faith, I call you to comment this prophetic number 777. Type it boldly. because 777 is the number of completion and divine covenant. As you, though, you declare, "My obedience seals generational blessing." Now, do not delay. Do not let hesitation steal this moment. The Spirit of God is stirring inside you, confirming that this is divine intervention, not coincidence. Your act of faith right now is more than a comment. It is a prophetic declaration in the unseen realm. Every keystroke is like a hammer breaking chains in your bloodline. Every word, a trumpet announcing to heaven and to hell that you belong fully to God. When you respond, you step out of silence into covenant. When you declare, you shift the atmosphere not only for yourself, but for those who will come after you. Heaven sees you. Heaven hears you. Heaven is marking this moment. Chosen one. The hidden battles you have fought are not forgotten. You know the silent wars, the nights when your pillow was soaked with tears, the days when you smiled in public but felt crushed in private. No one around you fully understood the weight you carried. People only saw glimpses of your struggle, but heaven saw everything. The unseen realm recorded every battle you pressed through, every temptation you resisted, every storm you endured. Those hidden battles were not wasted. They were seeds planted. And now the fruit is about to be visible for all to see. The world celebrates visible victories, but God honors the invisible ones. When you said no to what could have destroyed you, heaven shouted. When you prayed instead of retaliating, angels took note. When you chose to forgive instead of holding bitterness, the kingdom advanced through your obedience. Those small decisions, those unseen acts of surrender, are now unlocking visible rewards, not just for you, but for the generations connected to your name. Do you realize, chosen one, that your life has become a battlefield of generational consequence? That is why the enemy tried to suffocate you in private places. He thought, if he could break you in silence, no one would notice. No one would care. But God noticed. Heaven cared. And today, you are being lifted into a place where the hidden victories will manifest as visible blessings. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you." Beloved, this is the promise over your life. What you did in secret, what you surrendered when no one was watching, is now drawing public reward. Think about Joseph, who was thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, and imprisoned unfairly. His hidden battles were brutal, but those private places became preparation for his visible reward. When God raised him to power in Egypt, he didn't just save himself, he saved nations. In the same way, your hidden struggles are shaping you into a vessel of deliverance for many. Your rewards will not always come in the way the world measures success. Sometimes the reward is peace that your ancestors never knew. Sometimes it is freedom from addiction that once ruled your family. Sometimes it is the ability to create opportunities for your children that you never had yourself. These are treasures that cannot be bought, only birthed through obedience and hidden faithfulness. Do not despise the hidden season. Do not think that, because no one applauded, it was meaningless. Hidden seasons are holy. That is where roots grow deep, where character is refined, where faith is purified like gold in the fire. Without the hidden battles, you would not be prepared for the visible blessings. God never wastes pain. He transforms it into legacy. Chosen one, I tell you this: your enemies who mocked you in silence will witness your reward in public. The same people who whispered about your struggles will see the fruit of your steadfastness, not because you sought revenge, but because God is faithful to honor His word. When He elevates you, it will not only testify of your obedience, but also magnify His glory. Do not be surprised when doors open suddenly, when opportunities find you, when resources flow in ways you never expected. These are not coincidences. They are heaven's visible rewards manifesting from your hidden battles. And remember this: what God begins in you does not end with you. The blessing is generational. Your children will walk in favor because you fought the silent wars. Your grandchildren will inherit peace because you endured storms they will never have to face. Every hidden tear has become a seed, and every seed will break through the soil of time. You may have thought your prayers vanished into the air, but they were planted deep into the ground of eternity. Now, harvest season is arriving. The same God who saw you bow your head in silence is preparing to lift your head in honor. So take courage. Chosen one. The silence was never abandonment. It was sacred preparation. The reward that is coming is greater than the battle you endured. What you birthed in private will bloom in public, and the fragrance of your obedience will linger through generations. Heaven has written your story with glory, and the next chapter is being unveiled now. Your hidden battles were the price. Your visible rewards are the promise. The shift has already begun. Heaven is making what was unseen seen. Chosen one, hear this with clarity. Your obedience is not only a personal victory, it is the breaking point of generational chains. For too long, cycles of pain, patterns of bondage, and inherited struggles have tried to dictate the story of your family line. You have seen it in those who came before you. The same addictions, the same failures, the same brokenness repeated like an endless echo. But now, because of your yes to God, that echo is silenced. You are the interruption. You are the divine reset. The Spirit of God is declaring that what enslaved your ancestors will not enslave you, and what stopped them will not stop you. This is not by human strength, but by the power of divine obedience. Every time you said no to temptation, every time you rejected compromise, every time you chose holiness over comfort, you were swinging a sword in the Spirit, cutting off generational chains. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. No, think carefully. Chosen one, every act of disobedience creates a chain, but every act of obedience breaks one. The choices of your parents and grandparents shaped the atmosphere you were born into. Some left behind blessings, others left behind wounds. But God, in His mercy, appointed you as the one to break the cycle. You may feel unworthy, but heaven says otherwise. You were chosen for this assignment because you carry a spirit of victory that will not bow to darkness. Imagine this: where there was once addiction, there will be freedom. Where there was once divorce, there will be covenant love. Where there was once poverty, there will be abundance. Where there was once silence, there will be prayer. All of this is not because you fought in your own strength, but because you obeyed the voice of God. Your obedience has authority. The enemy cannot argue with it. He can tempt. He can accuse. He can try to distract. But when you obey, you cut off his legal ground. That is why the battle has felt so intense. It wasn't just about you. It was about your entire bloodline. Hell knew that if you said yes to God, generations would be freed. That is why the attacks were fierce, the temptations relentless, the pressure unbearable. But here you are, still standing, still saying yes. That yes is shaking the foundation of generational curses and chosen one. This is not only about your family, it extends into communities, into nations. Your yes creates ripples. What you broke in your personal life will empower others to break free as well. The testimony of your obedience will ignite faith in others, showing them that cycles can be broken and destinies can be rewritten. Now pause here. Let this sink into your spirit. You are not just surviving, you are rewriting history. Your name will not be remembered for defeat, but for breakthrough. And because of this, I invite you into a prophetic response. Type these words as a seal of faith. Chains are broken. Write it in the comments boldly. This is not a casual statement. It is a declaration. When you type it, you are aligning with heaven's decree over your life. You are saying to every curse, every cycle, every shadow of bondage, you stop here. On. Why is this act important? Because faith must be expressed when you declare with your mouth, or in this case, your written words. You establish agreement in the Spirit. The Bible says life and death are in the power of the tongue. So when you speak life, when you declare freedom, you activate it in realms you cannot see. By writing, chains are broken. You step into the authority God has given you to bind and to loose. This is why the enemy fears your obedience. It's not only about today, it's about the future. He knows that your surrender to God has set into motion a legacy that cannot be undone. What began as a personal yes will echo through your children and their children. It will be said of your family, they walk in freedom because someone chose obedience. Say, so do not doubt this moment. Do not minimize what you have carried. The chains that held others will not hold you. The battles that defeated others will not defeat you. Your obedience has placed a sword in your hand and authority in your mouth. Heaven recognizes it. Hell fears it. And generations will thank you for it. Chosen one. You are the breaker of chains, the restorer of paths, the one who turned curses into blessings. This is your destiny. This is your call. And the moment you chose obedience, the story of your bloodline shifted forever. Chosen one. There is something holy about covenant. It is not a light agreement, not a casual arrangement. It is a binding promise, sealed by the authority of heaven itself. Your obedience has placed you inside a covenant far greater than your personal desires, far stronger than your temporary struggles. When you said yes to God, you did more than make a personal choice. You stepped into a sacred lineage of those who carried the weight of covenant before you. From the beginning, God has always worked through covenant. He promised Noah that never again would the earth be destroyed by flood. He swore to Abraham that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars. He confirmed his covenant with Israel through Moses, and he established a new covenant with all humanity through Jesus Christ. Every time a covenant was made, it stretched beyond one person and touched generations. And now, Your obedience has connected you to that same divine flow. Think of Abraham standing under the night sky, looking at stars he could never count. He had no children at the time, no visible evidence of the promise. Yet God swore a covenant with him. That covenant outlived Abraham. It shaped Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes. It is still alive today, because covenants are not bound by time. In the same way, chosen one, your obedience is writing promises that will outlive you. The covenant you are standing in will stretch into generations you will never meet. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. And do not mistake covenant for contract. Contracts are conditional, based on performance and subject to cancellation. But covenant is eternal. It is sealed by blood, anchored in love, and held by the very faithfulness of God. When you falter, the covenant does not dissolve. When you stumble, it does not shatter. For this covenant is not upheld by your perfection, but by your obedience and by God's unfailing mercy. Chosen one, feel the weight of this truth. When you said yes, heaven wrote your name into covenant. You became a part of something larger than your own story. This is why your obedience matters so much. It is not just about survival, it is about inheritance. You are walking in the fulfillment of covenants spoken long before you were born. And your obedience is forming new ones for those who will come after you. Think of David. He was not perfect, yet God made a covenant with him that his throne would be established forever. Even when David's descendants strayed, God remembered his covenant. That same remembering is happening now for you. There are promises hovering over your bloodline that God is now awakening because of your yes. There are blessings buried by disobedience in past generations that are being unearthed because of your faithfulness. Covenant also means covering. It means you are not alone in your battles. God fights for those who are in covenant with him. He surrounds them with favor as a shield. He commands his angels concerning them. He turns curses into blessings on their behalf. You have already seen glimpses of this moments when you should have fallen, but didn't. Times when danger came close, but could not touch you. That was covenant covering you. And this covenant is not only spiritual, it manifests in practical ways. It manifests in opportunities that seem impossible, in resources that arrive just in time, in doors that no one else could open. It manifests in peace that cannot be explained, in joy that circumstances cannot steal, in strength that rises when everything around you collapses. That is covenant at work in your life. Chosen one. Covenant also requires remembrance. Do not forget the God who carried you here. Do not forget the altars of prayer where he met you. Do not forget the tears he turned into testimony. To remember is to remain aligned. As you honor the covenant, you will see it deepen and expand, flowing into every area of your life. Your obedience has drawn you into a covenant that is both weighty and wondrous. It is the assurance that your yes is not in vain, that your struggles are not wasted, that your legacy is secured. You are not wandering without purpose. You are walking under covenant. Every step you take, every choice you make in obedience, adds another stone to the altar of legacy. Generations will look back and bless your name because you chose to carry the weight of covenant. Beloved, understand this deeply. Covenant is not fragile. It is unshakable. Storms cannot break it. Enemies cannot void it. Time cannot erode it. And death cannot end it. You are bound to the eternal promises of God. And because of that, your life will bear fruit that cannot be measured. Chosen one. Stand tall under the weight of covenant. It is not crushing you, it is crowning you. The God who called you has sealed you. The God who appointed you has covered you. And the covenant you carry will speak long after you are gone. Chosen one. There is something radiant about the light you carry. The darkness has always recognized it. That is why the battles against you felt so relentless. Hell does not waste energy on those who are harmless. The enemy targeted you because he saw the lamp of obedience burning in your spirit. And he knew that lamp could ignite generations. Your obedience is not only a private matter, it terrifies the darkness, because light cannot be hidden. Picture a single candle lit in a room of shadows. At first, the darkness seems overwhelming, but the flame refuses to bow. The longer it burns, the further the shadows retreat. That is who you are. Your obedience has been the flame, steady and unwavering. It may have looked small in the beginning, but heaven knew its impact. And now, as your light shines, others who sit in darkness are beginning to see the way forward. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, still echo today. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Chosen one. This is not just poetry, it is prophecy over your life. Your obedience has caused God's glory to rise upon you. You are not just surviving, you are glowing with divine assignment. Think back on the moments when you almost gave in, when the darkness felt heavier than your strength. The reason you are still here is because the light within you refused to go out. That light is not your own, it is the presence of God inside you. And that presence transforms you into a beacon, a guide, a signal of hope. Those who once stumbled in confusion will find direction by the clarity of your obedience. But remember this, light was never meant to be hidden under a bowl. It was meant to shine openly, placed on a stand, giving light to everyone in the house. Your life is not only for yourself. Your story, your testimony, your obedience, these are torches meant to be lifted high so others may see. By sharing what God is doing in you, you extend the light to others still fighting in the dark. That is why I gently ask you, with a sincere heart, to help carry this flame further. When you like this message, it is like adding oil to the lamp. It burns brighter and reaches further. When you share it, you become a torchbearer, carrying the light into other homes, other hearts, other corners where shadows still linger. When you subscribe, you are saying, I want to keep the flame alive in me. I want to stay close to the fire of God's word. Long, and if the Spirit moves you to donate, understand it this way. You are not simply giving money, you are placing more wood on the fire, ensuring that the light keeps spreading, that others who cannot hear right now will be reached tomorrow. Your support becomes like a lighthouse built on the shore, guiding ships lost at sea back to safety. Some may never know your name, but they will be saved because you chose to keep the light shining. I speak this with humility, not pressure. For every act of support is not about obligation, it is about alignment. You are aligning yourself with the mission of light. You are saying, darkness will not win on my watch. And heaven sees that. Every seed sown, whether through encouragement, sharing, or financial support, echoes in eternity. Chosen one, your light is not ordinary. It disrupts darkness. It exposes lies. It heals broken places. Do not underestimate the impact of your yes. Somewhere, a weary soul will hear your testimony and find courage. Somewhere, a broken family will encounter the words you shared and discover hope. Somewhere, a child will grow up in a different story because you decided to shine instead of hide. And here is the mystery. The more light you give, the more light you receive. Obedience is not depletion, it is multiplication. Every time you pour out, God pours back in. Every time you give, He returns it, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You will not run out of light. You will only grow brighter. So, beloved, arise and shine. Let your flame be seen, not only in your private life, but in the lives of countless others. Use every avenue, your words, your actions, your choices, to extend what God has placed inside you. And as you do, know that you are not shining alone. Heaven shines with you. The Spirit empowers you, and the community of chosen ones walks beside you. Your obedience terrifies the darkness, because it is not just about survival, it is about transformation. You are not a flicker, you are a fire, and this fire will continue to spread, consuming shadows, until only the glory of God remains. Chosen one, lean in and hear this. Your obedience has not just shifted your personal path, it has carved out a riverbed of blessing for your bloodline. The heavens have acknowledged your faithfulness, and what was once blocked is now flowing freely. Your yes has become a doorway through which your children and their children will step into blessings they never labored for. Imagine a field where generations before you sowed seeds, yet storms destroyed the harvest. Year after year, disappointment covered the soil. But then you came, and your obedience called down rain from heaven. Now that same field is alive with crops, abundant and overflowing, ready to feed generations. That is the inheritance activated by your surrender. Your surrender was the turning point. What once looked like barren ground is now fertile, and the generations to come will eat bread without fear of famine. You changed the story not by power, not by might, but by a simple yes that aligned earth with heaven. The Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 22, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." This inheritance is more than money or property. It is faith, favor, and spiritual covering. It is peace where there was once turmoil, joy where there was once mourning, clarity where there was once confusion. Think of Abraham again. His obedience did not stop with him, it shaped Isaac, Jacob, and the 12 tribes. His yes became a generational covenant. You too are walking in that same pattern. You may not feel the weight of it fully, but your bloodline has shifted. Where others fell, you stood. Where others gave up, you endured it. And because of that, your family tree is being grafted into the flow of divine blessing. Chosen one, your inheritance is not fragile. It cannot be stolen by enemies or eroded by time. It is sealed by the authority of heaven. What you pass down will remain, not because of human effort, but because of God's eternal faithfulness. You have already seen glimpses, moments of provision, doors that opened without explanation, peace that filled your home. These are signs of the river of inheritance beginning to flow. But do not forget this truth. Inheritance requires recognition. If you do not recognize what God is releasing, you may overlook it. Speak it aloud. Tell your children and grandchildren the stories of God's faithfulness. Let them see that blessing did not appear from nowhere. It was birthed through obedience, through tears, through perseverance. Teach them to honor the covenant so they can expand it. The enemy hates generational blessing. He would rather see cycles of poverty, addiction, and brokenness continue. But your yes has broken the pattern. Your obedience is now the wall that stands between your descendants and destruction. That wall is strong, fortified by faith, and cannot be breached. This is why you must declare it boldly, not in silence. To mark this moment in the Spirit, I call you to comment the prophetic number 555. This number carries the meaning of grace multiplied, of divine favor poured out in overflow. By writing it, you are declaring, grace covers my family, and blessings will overflow through my bloodline. Embling, when you type 555, you are not just posting digits, you are planting a banner in the spiritual realm. You are saying to every chain of the past, it ends here. You are saying to every future generation, you begin with grace. You are saying to heaven, I agree with the blessing. It is a simple act, but it is powerful, because faith is activated not only in thought, but in declaration. Chosen one. See the picture clearly. Your grandchildren walking in confidence. Your great-grandchildren carrying favor. Your lineage remembered not for brokenness, but for blessing. This is what God has released because of your obedience. And every time you declare it, every time you teach it, every time you live it, the blessing deepens its roots and spreads further. You are the bridge between the past and the future. Behind you are generations of pain. Before you are generations of promise. Your obedience is the bridge that carries your bloodline across the divide. That bridge will not collapse. It is anchored in the covenant of God. So, rejoice. The inheritance is alive. The blessing is secure. And the flow cannot be stopped. You have not only lived for yourself, you have lived for those who will come after you. Your yes today has become their tomorrow. Chosen one. Let us walk slowly into this truth. God never overlooks silent sacrifice. In a world where applause chases loud achievements and recognition clings to visible victories, heaven's gaze falls on the unseen. The tears you cried alone. The nights you chose prayer over sleep. The offerings you laid before God when no one else knew, these have not vanished into silence. They have become incense rising before the throne, filling heaven's chambers with the fragrance of your obedience. You see, man applauds what is visible, but God rewards what is hidden. The sacrifices you made when no one was watching are the very things heaven treasures most. Every time you denied yourself comfort for the sake of obedience, you placed another stone on the altar of legacy. And now, the Lord is saying, the time has come for those hidden sacrifices to be honored openly. Think about Hannah. She prayed silently in the temple, her lips moving without sound. People misunderstood her. Even the priest thought she was drunk. Yet God heard the silent cry of her heart and honored her with Samuel. a prophet who would anoint kings. Your story carries the same truth. The sacrifices that others misunderstood or dismissed are the very ones God is lifting into the light. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 31, verse 16. This is what the Lord says: restrain your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work will be rewarded. There were moments you wondered, does it even matter? Did anyone see what I gave up? Did anyone notice the nights I cried to God in surrender? And here is the answer. Yes. Heaven noticed. Angels witnessed it. God recorded it. Nothing was wasted. Every tear became a seed. Every act of obedience became a testimony written in eternity. Silent sacrifice carries power. It is what sets you apart. While others chase platforms, you built altars. While others ran after recognition, you chose consecration. While others sought applause, you chose alignment. This is why your future will not look like theirs. Your roots are deeper. Your foundation is stronger. Your harvest will be greater. Beloved, know this: God often hides those He trusts the most. He places them in seasons where no one sees, where their sacrifices are known only to Him. It is in these hidden seasons that character is formed, integrity is tested, and faith is refined. Without those seasons, public honor would destroy you. With them, you become unshakable. Consider Joseph again. His silent sacrifices in prison prepared him for the palace. Consider Daniel, who chose to pray in secret even when it endangered his life. Consider Mary, who carried the Son of God in obscurity, enduring whispers and judgment, yet quietly obeying. Each of them made sacrifices no one applauded in the moment. Each of them was later honored before nations. You stand in that same lineage. And here is the mystery. God does not simply honor your sacrifices with equal measure. He multiplies them. What you gave in secret returns as blessing pressed down, shaken together, and running over. What you surrendered quietly will be celebrated loudly. What you gave up temporarily will return as eternal reward. This truth should steady your heart. Your reward may not look like the world's reward. It may not always be money or fame. Sometimes the reward is peace that surpasses understanding. Sometimes it is favor that opens impossible doors. Sometimes it is health restored, family reconciled, or destiny accelerated. Whatever form it takes, it will always bear one mark. It will be undeniable that it came from God. Chosen one. I must also remind you, silent sacrifice shapes not only your destiny, but also your identity. You are not defined by what you lost, but by what you gave up for Him. You are not marked by deprivation, but by devotion. Heaven does not see you as the one who lacked, but as the one who loved enough to obey in silence. There will come a day when others will look at your life and wonder, how did they rise so high? How did they carry such favor? How did they inherit so much? They will not know the tears you cried, the prayers you prayed, the sacrifices you made in silence. But God knows, and that is enough. So walk boldly. Chosen one. The season of hidden sacrifice is never wasted. You are stepping into a season where what was unseen will become visible. What was quiet will be proclaimed. What was private will be rewarded publicly. And when it happens, you will not need to explain yourself. The glory on your life will speak louder than words. Hold on to this truth. Nothing given to God in secret is ever lost. Every unseen act is a brick in the palace of blessing He is building for you. And when you stand in that palace, clothed in the light of His glory, you will understand why the silent sacrifices were necessary. They were not just tests, they were investments. And heaven always brings a return. Chosen one. There is a divine reversal happening in your bloodline. Where curses once spoke louder than blessings, your obedience has shifted the atmosphere. The dark patterns that repeated from generation to generation are being dismantled, and in their place, new gardens of blessing are being planted. The old soil of bitterness, poverty, and fear is being overturned, and fresh life is springing forth. You know what a curse feels like. It is not always visible to the eyes, but you feel it in the repetition. Families caught in cycles of broken marriages, of addictions that pass like inheritance, of anger that poisons relationships, of dreams that die before they bloom. These patterns are more than human weakness. They are spiritual assignments designed to keep generations trapped. Yet, the moment you obeyed God, those assignments were cancelled. The prophet Moses spoke boldly in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. Chosen one, you chose life, and because you did, death lost its grip on your family line. Where curses demanded inheritance, blessings now claim their rightful place. Think of Israel, enslaved for generations in Egypt. Chains were their normal, oppression their daily bread. But the day came when God raised up Moses, and with a mighty hand, He broke the power of Pharaoh. What had defined their identity for centuries ended in a single act of divine deliverance. In the same way, your obedience has become the exodus for your bloodline. You are leading them out of Egypt, out of bondage, into freedom. This reversal is not symbolic, it is real. The anger that consumed fathers will no longer consume sons. The fear that silenced mothers will no longer silence daughters. The shame that weighed on grandparents will no longer rest on grandchildren. The curse has been uprooted, and in its place grows blessing, blessing that is not fragile, but deeply rooted in covenant. Blessings do not simply erase curses, they replace them. When you choose obedience, you are not left with an empty space. You are left with a new inheritance. Where poverty once ruled, abundance begins to flow. Where sickness once crippled, healing becomes a legacy. Where despair once whispered, joy becomes a song sung across generations. This is not an accident. This is the hand of God at work in your story. Chosen one. Sometimes you wonder why your battles have been so intense. It is because you were not only fighting for yourself, you were contending for your bloodline. The curse resisted you because it knew that if you obeyed, the cycle would break. But now, by the authority of your obedience, the resistance is finished. What stood against your family for decades has fallen. Understand this. Blessings are not shallow. They run as deep as curses once did. Just as a curse can reach into multiple generations, so can a blessing. Your obedience has planted seeds that will keep growing long after you are gone. Generations from now, children will walk in freedom without even knowing the price you paid. They will inherit gardens you planted with your tears, fields you watered with your prayers. Look at Ruth. She came from Moab, a people under curse. Yet through her obedience and loyalty, she was grafted into the lineage of blessing. She became the great-grandmother of David and part of the ancestry of Jesus himself. Her decision rewrote history. Your obedience carries the same weight. The curse is broken. The garden of blessing is planted, and history is being rewritten through you. And do not think the enemy can reattach what God has severed. When a curse is broken by obedience, it loses its authority. The blood of Christ has sealed your covenant, and no demon can override it. Your family line is under new ownership, purchased not with silver or gold, but with obedience and the blood of the Lamb, chosen one. Lift your eyes and see, the story is different now. What once was a wilderness is becoming a vineyard. What once was ashes is becoming beauty. What once was mourning is becoming dancing. This is the reversal of the Lord. This is the testimony of obedience. Carry this truth with you always. Curses are temporary, but blessings are eternal. A curse can last for generations, but when blessing takes root, it flourishes into eternity. Your obedience has not only ended a cycle, it has begun a new one. A cycle of favor, of joy, of peace, of divine abundance. Walk boldly, because the ground beneath you is no longer cursed. It is holy ground, sanctified by your obedience and God's covenant. Plant seeds with confidence. Speak blessings with authority. Live with assurance. The reversal has already begun, and it will not be undone. Chosen one. Lift your head and feel this moment. You are not walking alone. Every step you take in obedience is being witnessed, celebrated, and affirmed by a great cloud of witnesses. The unseen realm is alive with applause. Heaven does not watch silently. It rejoices. It shouts. It sings over every act of faith you release. The Apostle Paul paints this picture vividly in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race. Chosen one. You are not merely running a private race, you are carrying a baton in a relay of destiny. Heaven's witnesses lean forward, watching you carry what others dropped, and their joy erupts every time you advance. Think of this. Abraham is watching you choose faith when everything looks impossible. Moses is watching you press forward when the waters rise high. Esther is watching you stand boldly in places where silence would be easier. David is watching you worship when enemies surround you. They are not distant heroes of old, they are witnesses, cheering because your obedience continues the story of God's faithfulness on earth. Do not underestimate the sound of heaven's applause. Every yes you whisper in the dark shakes the courts of eternity with celebration. Angels rejoice when you resist temptation, when you choose forgiveness, when you trust in God instead of giving up. The witnesses are not passive, they are active in their affirmation. Your life is a testimony not just for those on earth, but also for those who have already finished their race. Beloved, there is a mystery here. You often feel invisible, as though your sacrifices vanish without notice. Yet, in the unseen realm, every choice is magnified. Heaven's gallery sees what earth ignores. The witnesses see the quiet tears, the unseen prayers, the burdens you carry, and they are not silent. Their applause fills the heavens like thunder, echoing encouragement. Keep going, chosen one. Your obedience is worth it. Your race matters. Then remember Elijah, who once felt alone, crying, "I am the only one left." But God reminded him that there were thousands who had not bowed to Baal. You, too, may feel isolated, but you are surrounded by multitudes, witnesses above, and faithful ones on earth who are running their own races. You are part of a divine company, a chosen family, and your obedience strengthens the whole. Now, pause. Let this truth reach deep inside. Your obedience is not a whisper lost in the wind, it is a shout heard in heaven. The witnesses hear it. The angels record it. God Himself treasures it. This is why you cannot quit. Your life is not lived in obscurity, it is lived before an eternal audience. And here, I invite you into a prophetic act of alignment. Declare it with your hands. Declare it with your faith. Type this phrase into the comments: I will finish. Just 3 words, but they carry eternal weight. When you write them, you are not just speaking to yourself, you are announcing to heaven that you will not quit. You are telling the witnesses, your race is my encouragement, and I will carry the baton to the end. You are telling the enemy, no distraction, no sin, no obstacle will stop me. And why this phrase? Because finishing is the key. Many begin, but few finish. The witnesses do not cheer half-hearted starts, they cheer victorious completions. By typing, I will finish, you align yourself with the perseverance of Christ, who endured the cross and sat down at the right hand of the Father. You align yourself with Paul, who declared, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And this declaration is not casual, it is covenant. It is a vow written in the unseen, that no matter the cost, you will endure. And as you declare it, heaven adds its amen. The witnesses respond with louder applause, for they know that finishing crowns the race with glory. Chosen one. Imagine this moment, you crossing the finish line of your assignment. Heaven's witnesses rising to their feet in thunderous ovation, angels rejoicing, and the Father Himself welcoming you with the words, well done, good and faithful servant. That is the destiny waiting for you. Every small step of obedience today leads toward that eternal celebration. So do not be discouraged when you feel unseen. Do not faint when battles press heavy. Remember the witnesses. Remember the audience of heaven. Remember the declaration you have made, I will finish. And know this, your obedience is not just for your lifetime, it is a testimony that will echo into eternity. Chosen one. Today, you must understand the weight of your obedience. It has shifted the entire story of your family line. Where once there were patterns of sorrow, you are now planting seeds of joy. Where once there were deserts, you are now digging wells that will not run dry. Your obedience is rewriting history, one faithful step at a time. Think of it like a river. For generations, your family may have walked along dry beds, thirsty and desperate, believing no water would ever come. But the moment you obeyed God, the river began to flow. That river does not stop at your feet, it flows downstream into the lives of your children, grandchildren, and even those yet unborn. Your yes has become a source of living water. The voice of God declared in Isaiah, chapter 44, verse 3, "For I will pour water on the thirsty land, and streams on the dry ground. I will pour out my spirit on your offspring, and my blessing on descendants, chosen one." This is what you are walking in now. The dry ground of your lineage is becoming fertile, and streams of blessing are flooding into your family's future. But rivers are not meant to be hoarded. They flow outward, nourishing everything around them. In the same way, your obedience is not only a blessing to your household, it is a blessing to all who come into contact with you. Your life becomes like fertile soil where others plant seeds and watch them grow. Your presence becomes like shade for the weary and bread for the hungry. This is the overflow of obedience. And here is where I speak to your heart with sincerity. If this river has blessed you, if you have felt its refreshing power, then I invite you to help keep it flowing. When you like this message, it is like casting a stone into the water. The ripples extend further, reaching shores you could not touch alone. When you share, you become a river channel, carrying life into places where the ground is still dry. When you subscribe, you are saying, "I want to remain by the river, to drink deeply again and again." Oh, and if you feel led to donate, think of it this way. You are planting a tree by the water's edge. That tree will bear fruit for many who are hungry. Long after today's moment has passed, your giving is not a transaction, it is cultivation. You are sowing into soil that will feed others, perhaps strangers you will never meet. Yet, souls who will rise in gratitude because you chose to keep the river flowing. I do not ask this from a place of demand, but from a place of compassion. There are many still walking in deserts, waiting for a stream to reach them. Your small act, whether a like, a share, a subscription, or a gift, can be the very stream that touches their ground. Heaven multiplies even the smallest drops of obedience until they become floods of blessing. Chosen one, understand that your obedience is not just changing your household, it is building a new legacy. Your descendants will look back and say, "This was the one who shifted everything. This was the one who refused to let the curse win. This was the one who opened the gates of blessing." And their voices will not just be filled with gratitude, they will be filled with glory to God, because your story points back to Him. Think of Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Each stone he set was not only for himself, but for future generations who would live safely within those walls. Every like, every share, every seed of support you release is another stone in the wall of generational blessing. You are helping fortify what God is building, not just for you, but for many. This is how heaven works. Obedience is contagious. Blessing is multiplied. What begins in you does not end with you. And as you allow your light and your testimony to spread, you are ensuring that the shift in your bloodline becomes a shift in others as well. So let your heart remain open. Do not see your obedience as a solitary act. It is a spark igniting wildfires of transformation. Every time you give, you pour oil on the fire, ensuring it does not go out. Every time you share, you carry a torch into another dark corner. Every time you align with this flow, you become part of the great work God is doing through His chosen ones. Beloved, you are not simply living a life, you are building a legacy. Your obedience is a foundation. Your testimony, a blueprint. Your faith, a construction that others will live in long after you are gone. Walk with confidence, give with compassion, and shine with boldness. For the river of blessing is already flowing and will never run dry. Chosen one, lean into this truth. Your obedience has given you authority, not only for your own walk, but for the generations tied to your name. Authority is not earned by talent, bought by wealth, or handed down by bloodline. It is bestowed through submission to God. Every time you surrendered, every time you obeyed, when it was costly, you were being clothed in spiritual authority. Authority is not loud, it is weighty. It is the kind of presence that shifts atmospheres when you walk into a room. It is the kind of voice that carries power, not because of volume, but because heaven stands behind it. Your obedience has given you the authority to intercede, to stand in the gap for your family, and to change their destiny through prayer and declaration. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 5, verse 19, remind us, "For just as through the disobedience of the one man the many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the one man the many will be made righteous." Chosen one. Your authority may not always be visible, but it is tangible in the Spirit. When you pray, chains break. When you declare, atmospheres shift. When you intercede, heaven moves. Do not underestimate the weight of your words or the reach of your prayers. They carry power because they are backed by obedience. This authority is not only for prayer, it is for protection. Your obedience has built a hedge around your family. There are battles your children will never have to fight because you already fought them. There are doors your grandchildren will walk through easily because you already unlocked them. Your yes has become a shield, a fortress, a covering that stretches across generations. Do you see it? Every act of obedience extended the borders of your family's inheritance. Every moment of faith enlarged the territory of their blessing. You are not just living for yourself, you are legislating for generations. Heaven has entrusted you with authority to establish divine order in your bloodline. Beloved, understand the weight of this. When you intercede, you are not just whispering into the air. You are standing in the courts of heaven as a representative of your house. You are speaking on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. Your prayers are legal petitions that shift verdicts over your family. And God, the righteous judge, responds to the authority of obedience. There were times you felt powerless, but in truth, you were never without power. Power is not measured by outward strength, it is measured by inner alignment. And because you aligned yourself with heaven, you now carry authority to stand against forces that once ruled your family. Addiction, poverty, rejection, fear, none of these can stand against the authority you carry in Christ. Consider Esther. She was one woman, hidden in a palace. Yet her obedience to step into her assignment gave her the authority to save her people. She did not have an army, but she had obedience, and heaven backed her courage. In the same way, you may feel small, but your obedience has placed you in a position of generational influence. Your family's story will not be the same because you dared to obey. Chosen one. Your authority is not for control, it is for covering. It is not for domination, it is for deliverance. You are not called to rule over people, but to stand in the gap for them, to lift them before God, to decree life over them. This is the true mark of authority, not power for self, but power for service. And one day, when your descendants look back, they will not only thank you for what you did, they will live in what you built. They will walk in blessings they did not earn. Because your obedience secured them, they will be free from battles they never fought. Because your prayers already conquered them, they will carry authority of their own. Because you showed them what it means to bow to God and rise in power. So walk with boldness. Chosen one. Do not shrink back as though you are ordinary. You are clothed in authority. You carry the weight of obedience. Your voice matters in heaven, and your prayers shake the earth. You are the watchman on the wall for your family, and the wall will not fall because you remain faithful. This is your mantle. Generational authority through obedience. Wear it with humility. Walk in it with confidence. And let it remind you daily that you are not just living, you are legislating for generations. Chosen one. Step into this revelation. Heaven is opening doors before you that were shut to those who came before. For generations. Your family may have stood before gates that never opened, opportunities lost, breakthroughs denied, prayers unanswered. But because of your obedience, the locks have been shattered. Doors that resisted your ancestors are swinging wide for you. And not only for you, but for those who will follow your footsteps. A closed door can feel like rejection, but often it is preparation. Many times, God allowed doors to remain shut so that when they opened, you would value them not as chance, but as covenant fulfillment. And now, the appointed time has arrived. Doors of provision, doors of healing, doors of influence, and doors of spiritual inheritance are standing open before you. The Apostle John records the words of Christ in Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8z. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Chosen one. This is your reality. The doors opening for you are not fragile. They are guarded by God's own authority, and no enemy has the power to close them. Consider Ruth. She walked through a door of obedience when she chose to follow Naomi, leaving her homeland behind. That simple yes opened the door to a new lineage. She became part of the ancestry of King David and even of Christ himself. Ruth's story reminds you that sometimes one obedient step through a small door leads to unimaginable destiny. Your family may have known only locked doors. Perhaps they labored but never prospered, dreamed but never saw fulfillment, prayed but never witnessed breakthrough. That was their reality, but it is not yours. God has marked you to break through barriers, to walk into rooms your ancestors could only dream of. You are carrying the key of obedience that unlocks the future. But these doors are not only for personal gain, they are for kingdom impact. When you step through them, you are not only advancing yourself, you are pulling generations behind you into blessing. Your children will walk through doors you opened. Your grandchildren will inherit halls you entered. And even beyond your family, many will follow the paths your obedience cleared. Yet, I must remind you, doors require discernment. Not every open door is from God, but the ones marked by His hand carry peace, alignment, and purpose. Walk carefully, listening for His voice. When He says, move, move without hesitation. When He says, wait, trust His timing. Obedience is not only the key to the door, It is the guide. Once you step through, chosen one, do you feel it? The resistance you once faced is gone. The doors are not creaking, they are flinging wide. Where others were denied access, you are being welcomed. Where others were forgotten, you are being remembered. Where others were turned away, you are being ushered in. This is not luck. This is covenant. This is not chance. This is the reward of obedience. And here is your prophetic act of faith, to seal this truth in the Spirit. I call you to comment the number 888. This number carries the meaning of new beginnings and divine overflow. By typing it, you are declaring, I step into the new. I walk through the doors. Heaven has opened. You are saying to God, I accept the inheritance. And to the enemy, you cannot close what God has opened. Then, why this act? Because declaration brings alignment. When you declare in faith, you are not just hoping, you are agreeing with heaven's decree. Each time you write 888, it is as though you are walking through the threshold, leaving behind old limitations and entering the space prepared for you. It is a symbolic step that mirrors the spiritual reality already unfolding. Beloved, imagine the ripple of this obedience. Doors of opportunity will lead to doors of influence. Doors of healing will lead to doors of ministry. Doors of provision will lead to doors of generosity. Each one you walk through will unlock more than you expected. Because God's blessing is abundant, not limited. You are not standing at the edge of closed gates anymore. You are stepping into open courts. You are no longer outside. Looking in, you are inside. Walking freely. And as you move forward, remember, every door you enter becomes a path for others. Your obedience does not just change your story, it changes the stories of many who will come after you. Chosen one, rejoice. The doors are open. The gates are lifted, and nothing, no power of hell or scheme of man, can close what God Himself has unlocked for you. Chosen one, let your heart absorb this truth. The legacy you are building is not fragile, it is crowned with glory. Heaven has not only marked you as one who obeyed, it has also adorned you with a crown that carries weight far beyond your lifetime. Your obedience has become a testimony, and that testimony is now being shaped into a crown of legacy. A crown is not merely a decoration. It is a symbol of authority, honor, and inheritance. When kings of old wore crowns, it was not just for beauty, it represented a kingdom, a lineage, a responsibility. In the same way, your crown is not ornamental. It is a sign that heaven has established your life as a testimony for those who will come after you. It was written in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him. Beloved, this promise belongs to you. You persevered when quitting was easier. You endured when surrendering to the enemy seemed tempting. And now, you are being crowned not only with life for yourself, but with a legacy of blessing that flows outward. Think of how a crown shines. It is not meant to be hidden. When placed upon the head, it draws the gaze of others. Your life will be the same. The crown of legacy God has placed on you will shine for others to see. People will look at your journey, your testimony, and your obedience, and they will be drawn not to you, but to the God who crowned you. Legacy is not measured in possessions, it is measured in impact. Possessions fade, but impact multiplies. What you are leaving behind is more than land, money, or recognition. You are leaving behind spiritual wealth, faith that will ripple into your children, hope that will anchor your grandchildren, a testimony of perseverance that will strengthen your great-grandchildren. This is your crown. Consider David. His life was full of both triumphs and failures. Yet God promised him a lasting throne. Why? Because at the core of his being was obedience and love for God. David's crown was not only about his personal reign, it was about legacy. His obedience positioned his descendants to inherit promises that outlived him. In the same way, your crown is not simply about today, it is about tomorrow. Chosen one. Every sacrifice you made, every prayer you prayed, every trial you endured has been woven into this crown. It is not made of gold or jewels, but of perseverance, obedience, and faith. And this crown carries weight. It is not just for your honor, it is for your assignment. A crown is both glory and responsibility. You are now responsible to steward the legacy you are leaving behind, to walk in humility, to guide others toward the same path of obedience. Do not underestimate how visible your crown is in the spirit. The enemy sees it and trembles, because he knows it represents territory gained, curses broken, and blessings secured. Heaven sees it and rejoices, because it reflects the victory of Christ manifested in your story. And the world sees it in subtle ways, in the peace you carry, the wisdom you speak, the resilience you embody. This crown is not only for now, it is for eternity. The crowns we receive on earth through obedience will one day be laid at the feet of Jesus, the King of Kings. Imagine that moment, your crown of legacy, full of the testimonies of your obedience, being placed before him in worship. That is the destiny you are walking toward. But while you live, this crown will remain a sign to your family that obedience is worth it, a sign to your community that perseverance pays off, a sign to your descendants that they, too, can inherit blessing if they choose faithfulness. Chosen one. Wear your crown with humility, but do not hide it. Do not downplay what God has done in you. Your story is not arrogance, it is evidence. Evidence that obedience builds legacy. Evidence that faith outlasts trials. Evidence that one person's yes can shift generations. And remember this, crowns are not easily won. They are forged in fire, tested in storms, and proven in battles. Your crown carries the weight of your struggles, the heat of your trials, and the strength of your victories. That is why it shines so brightly. It has been refined. It is authentic. It is eternal. So, stand tall. Chosen one. Lift your head high, not in pride, but in recognition of what God has placed upon you. The crown you wear is not for vanity, it is for testimony. And that testimony will not fade with time. It will echo through generations. Your legacy is secure. Your crown is established. And your name will not be remembered for defeat, but for faithfulness. This is the glory of obedience. It leaves behind more than memories. It leaves behind a crown of legacy. Chosen one. Let us step carefully into this truth. Every enemy that rose against your family line, every spirit that sought to devour your inheritance, every adversary that whispered defeat into your bloodline must now bow before the covenant you carry. Your obedience has not only broken chains, it has enforced divine authority. The battles of the past are no longer your battles. The covenant speaks louder than every curse, and the enemies of your house can no longer stand. In ancient times, when a covenant was sealed, enemies knew they were powerless to resist. It was not the individual's strength that terrified them, but the covenant they carried. In the same way, you may not feel mighty in yourself, but the covenant of obedience upon your life commands respect in the unseen. Every adversary recognizes it, even if you do not yet see the fullness. The prophet Isaiah proclaimed in chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord." This promise is not an abstract idea, it is your reality. No weapon from the past, no curse from your ancestry, no scheme from the enemy can prosper against the covenant you now walk in. Consider the Israelites at the Red Sea. Behind them, Pharaoh's army thundered with rage. Before them, the waters stood tall. By human reasoning, they were trapped. Yet the covenant of God moved through Moses' obedience, and the sea parted. The same army that sought to enslave them was drowned in the very waters God used to deliver his people. That is your story as well. What once chased your family, what once sought to enslave you, is being drowned by the covenant that covers you. Your enemies are not just people, they are patterns, spirits, and cycles. Anger that ruled fathers, rejection that haunted mothers, poverty that lingered through generations. These were enemies of your bloodline. But today, those enemies bow. They cannot cross the threshold of covenant. They cannot survive in the light of obedience. They must retreat, defeated not by your might, but by the eternal decree of heaven. Chosen one, you need to grasp this. Your authority is not reaction, it is position. You are not scrambling to defend yourself. You are standing firm in what has already been sealed. Enemies may approach, but when they see the covenant mark upon your life, they tremble. For it is written in James, "Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." He flees not because of your striving, but because of the seal you carry. Look at David facing Goliath. He was not stronger by human measure, yet he carried covenant. Goliath mocked, cursed, and threatened. But David came with the authority of the living God. One stone, directed by covenant, silenced the giant that terrified a nation. In the same way, the giants in your family's history cannot outlast the covenant you carry. They may roar, but your obedience has already secured their fall. And here is the wonder. When enemies bow, blessings rise. Every ground once occupied by opposition becomes fertile soil for abundance. Every battle once draining your family becomes a testimony of victory. What the enemy meant for harm becomes fuel for your legacy. The very chains that bound your ancestors will be displayed as trophies of freedom in your story. Chosen one, do not be surprised if you feel peace where there used to be warfare. That is the covenant working. Do not be startled when opportunities appear where doors were always locked. That is the enemy bowing. Do not doubt when you see healing flow in areas where sickness reigned. That is the power of covenant replacing curses. This is why your obedience mattered so much. It was never just about you. It was about silencing enemies that haunted your family for generations. It was about enforcing the covenant of God against every adversary. And now, your life is proof. Darkness cannot stand before light. Curses cannot outlast covenant. And enemies cannot withstand obedience. So, walk boldly. Chosen one, you are not under attack, you are under covenant. You are not surrounded by enemies, you are surrounded by promises. And every adversary that once claimed your family line must now bow before the authority of God's covenant resting on your life. Chosen one, feel the weight of this truth. You are not merely a believer, you have become a living altar. An altar is where heaven meets earth, where sacrifice rises, and where fire falls. Your obedience has transformed you into that place of encounter. When others draw near to you, they do not only meet your personality, they encounter the presence of God that rests upon you. Think of the altars of old. Noah built an altar after the flood, and the fragrance of his offering pleased the Lord so deeply that he declared never again would he curse the ground. Abraham built altars as markers of covenant, each one a reminder that God's promises were alive. Elijah rebuilt the altar on Mount Carmel, and when fire fell from heaven, it silenced the prophets of Baal. Every altar became a turning point in history, and now, your obedience has made you such a turning point. The Apostle Paul reminds us in Romans, chapter 12, verse 1, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. You, chosen one, are not just offering at the altar, you are the altar. Every sacrifice you made, every act of surrender, every prayer whispered in hidden places has turned your life into a place where God's fire rests. And here is the beauty. An altar is not only for the one who builds it. Others come to the altar. Others are blessed by its fire. In the same way, your life is now a beacon. People who cross your path will feel the warmth of your flame. Those who are cold with despair will find heat in your presence. Those stumbling in darkness will find direction in the glow of your obedience. But for the altar's fire to keep burning, it must be tended. In the Old Testament, priests kept the fire on the altar alive day and night. They added wood. They cleared ashes. They made sure the flame never died. Your obedience is the same. It requires continual surrender, continual faith, continual tending of your spirit. This is not a burden. It is a calling. It means you live not for yourself, but for God's glory and for the generations your fire will touch. And so I speak to you sincerely. If this altar of words, this place of fire, has blessed your heart, I ask you to help keep the flame alive. When you like this message, it is as though you place wood upon the fire. It grows. It spreads. It reaches further. When you share, you become like a priest carrying embers into other homes, other hearts, where new fires will be lit. When you subscribe, you are choosing to return again and again to the altar, saying, I will not let the flame go out in me. And if your heart is stirred to donate, see it not as giving to man, but as oil poured upon the flame, just as in the temple of old. Oil kept the lamps burning continually. So your gift ensures that this light does not fade. Your donation becomes more than support. It becomes worship, an offering laid upon the altar that carries blessing far beyond what you can see. I do not speak this to pressure you, but to remind you, altars are sustained by offerings, and every seed you sow, whether through engagement, prayer or financial support becomes part of the fire that lights the path for others. Somewhere, someone in despair will encounter God because you helped keep the flame alive. And now, I invite you to a prophetic act of testimony as a seal of your agreement. Type these words into the comments. The fire burns. Just 3 words. Yet they carry eternal meaning. By writing them, you are declaring that the altar of your life will not grow cold. You are affirming that your obedience will remain steady. You are proclaiming that generations will gather around the fire God has ignited in you. Why this phrase? Because fire is both light and warmth. It chases away darkness and revives weary hearts. When you declare, "The fire burns," you are not just describing, you are decreeing. You are saying, "My obedience will not flicker out. The altar of my life will shine for God's glory." No, chosen one, remember this always. You are a living altar. Your fire is not ordinary, it is holy flame. And as long as you tend it, as long as you keep saying yes to God, that fire will never die. It will guide, it will heal, it will transform, and it will leave a legacy brighter than any monument of stone. Chosen one, pause and breathe this in. Blessings are not trickling toward you, they are pouring, overflowing, multiplying beyond measure. Your obedience has unlocked a fountain that does not run dry. What is flowing into your life now cannot be counted by numbers alone, for it is not limited to material gain. These blessings are spiritual, emotional, generational, eternal. They are blessings beyond counting. Think of the night sky Abraham once looked upon. The Lord told him his descendants would be as countless as the stars. Abraham could not number them, but he believed. That is the essence of what you are stepping into. The blessings unfolding in your life cannot be calculated, but they can be believed, received, and carried. They are immeasurable because they flow from an infinite God. The Word of God in Ephesians, chapter 3, verse 20, declares, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." This is not a promise far off, it is alive in you. The blessings are not small additions to your life. They are immeasurably more, stretching beyond the reach of your imagination. You may have expected survival, but God has given overflow. You may have prayed for enough, but He has prepared abundance. You may have hoped for a drop, but He is sending rivers. This is the nature of blessings born out of obedience. They exceed expectation, surpass logic, and defy limits. Consider Solomon. He asked God only for wisdom to govern well, yet God blessed him with wisdom, riches, honor, and peace. Why? Because God delights to do more than we ask when our hearts are aligned with Him. You, too, are positioned for more, not because you demanded it, but because your obedience has pleased the Lord. Blessings beyond counting come in many forms. Some will be seen: provision, opportunities, relationships restored, health renewed. Others will be unseen: peace that guards your heart, wisdom that guides your steps, joy that strengthens your soul. And some will be generational: children who walk in favor, grandchildren who rise in purpose, descendants who inherit promises. These blessings ripple outward, impossible to number, unstoppable in flow. Chosen one, Remember that blessings are not always about possessions. They are about positioning. God positions you in places where favor flows, where doors open, where divine connections appear. Blessings are about perspective, seeing through the eyes of faith, recognizing God's hand even in small details. And blessings are about purpose, being entrusted with more, so you can carry more for others. Do not be surprised if you look back and realize you are living in answers to prayers you forgot you prayed. Obedience has a way of unlocking blessings you did not even know you needed. While you focused on one area, God was preparing abundance in another. While you prayed for today, He was preparing provision for tomorrow. The truth is this: you cannot contain what is coming. Just as nets broke when Peter obeyed and cast his boat into deeper waters, your life will not be able to hold all that God is releasing. Others around you will benefit from the overflow. Friends, family, even strangers will taste of the blessings flowing through you. That is why these blessings are called beyond counting. They cannot be kept to yourself. Beloved, I want you to understand that the magnitude of blessing is not to overwhelm you, but to establish you. It is to root you deeper, to remind you that God is faithful, to prove to every watching spirit that obedience is never wasted. Every blessing you carry is not only for joy, but also for testimony. When others ask, "How?" your answer will be simple: God did it because I obeyed. Do not let fear whisper that these blessings will fade. What comes by covenant does not vanish like smoke. What is born of obedience is anchored in eternity. The same God who opened the windows of heaven is the one who sustains them. You will not run dry, for your source is unending. And when you feel unworthy of such abundance, remember, blessings are not wages. They are gifts. You did not earn them. You received them through obedience. They are not fragile, depending on your perfection. They are secure, rooted in God's faithfulness. So walk boldly in this overflow. Do not hide it. Do not diminish it. Let the blessings testify. Let them shine as evidence that God rewards those who trust Him. And as you live in abundance, remember to keep your heart soft, your hands open, your spirit humble. Blessings beyond counting are not meant to make you proud, but to make you a vessel of generosity and grace. Chosen one, you are standing in the middle of a river, too vast to measure, under a sky too star-filled to number, holding promises too great to comprehend. This is your inheritance. This is the result of your yes. Blessings beyond counting here, now and forever. Chosen one, let your spirit be still as you receive this. Your obedience has not only marked your lifetime, it has set into motion ripples that will echo into eternity. What you chose today will not end when you breathe your last breath. It will carry forward through your children, their children, and generations yet unborn, and even beyond them. Your yes will remain written in the eternal record of heaven. We often think of obedience as a single act in time, but in truth, obedience is eternal in its impact. One choice to bow your heart before God reshapes not only your future, but also the futures of countless others. When Abraham obeyed and left his homeland, he could not have seen the multitudes who would call him Father. When Mary obeyed and said yes to bearing the Christ, she could not have measured the billions who would be redeemed through her surrender. Your obedience carries that same eternal weight. The prophet Isaiah declared in chapter 55, verse 11, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. it will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Chosen one, your yes to God is tied to His word, and His word cannot return void. That means your obedience will never fade into nothingness. It will always accomplish, always bear fruit, always echo through eternity. Think of ripples on water. One stone dropped into a pond sends circles outward, reaching further than the eye first imagines. Your obedience is that stone. What may feel like a single act of surrender is sending ripples into lives you will never meet, into generations you will never see, into corners of eternity you cannot yet imagine. And unlike ripples that fade, these circles keep moving because they are powered by eternal covenant. Consider how the legacy of Paul's obedience still lives today. His letters, born of faith and sacrifice, continue to guide, strengthen, and transform lives thousands of years later. When he obeyed, he likely did not imagine you reading his words in this moment. Yet here you are, touched by his yes. In the same way, your obedience will reach further than your imagination can grasp. Someday, someone far beyond your timeline will walk in freedom because of the altar you built today. Beloved, eternity is watching. Every act of obedience is engraved into the eternal story of God's kingdom. You may not see its full effect now, but one day, when you stand before the throne, you will see the tapestry of your obedience woven into the great design. Threads of your yes will connect to people, nations, and stories you never knew existed. That is the eternal ripple of obedience. Do not believe the lie that your life is small. There is no such thing as a small yes to God. Each yes reverberates into eternity. Each step of faith alters the story. Each act of surrender echoes forever. Heaven is not counting your perfection, it is counting your obedience. And obedience always echoes. And when the end of time arrives, when books are opened and records revealed, your obedience will not be forgotten. Angels will testify of the nights you prayed in silence. Witnesses will remember the choices you made when no one was watching. God Himself will point to the legacy you left and say, "Well done, faithful one." You did not only change your life, you changed eternity. And of chosen one, this is the destiny you carry. You are not just living for the now, you are living for the forever. Every tear, every sacrifice, every whispered yes has eternal weight. Nothing was wasted. Nothing is forgotten. All is written. All will echo. So walk with assurance. You are not walking in vain. The ripples of your obedience are already moving outward, touching lives in ways you cannot measure. And long after your footsteps fade from the earth, your legacy will still be alive, because eternity never forgets. Chosen one, you have walked through the journey of obedience, covenant, blessing, and legacy, and now you stand at the end of this message, but not at the end of your story. What has been spoken over you is not merely encouragement, it is eternal truth. You are chosen, marked, and sealed by heaven. Your obedience has shifted atmospheres, broken curses, released blessings, and activated inheritance for generations. You may have started this journey with questions, perhaps even doubts, but let there be no doubt now, you are living proof that obedience is never wasted. Heaven saw it, hell feared it, and eternity will remember it. You are not ordinary, You are not forgotten. You are God's chosen one, destined to carry light into darkness and legacy into eternity. Carry this with you as you go. Your life is not measured only by what you achieve, but by what you activate through obedience. You have already begun to walk in blessings beyond counting. You are crowned with legacy. You are surrounded by witnesses, and you are sustained by covenant love that never fails. So, step boldly into your tomorrow. The story of your life is already shifting generations. The altar of your obedience is already burning brightly, and the ripples of your yes are already moving across eternity. Walk in peace, in faith, and in confidence. For your best days are not behind you, they are unfolding before you. You are unshakable. You are unstoppable. You are chosen.